This video will contain spoilers from the off, so remember, you've been warned. With the finale of Ted Lasso being released and there now being a bit of time since it was aired, it's well and truly sunk in that the show is not coming back anytime soon, and we've bid farewell to some characters and a world that we all enjoyed watching. With the show finishing off in a way that contained many happy endings all round, it was a nice way for it to finish off, and I left feeling content. But then there was a theory put out there about the final sequence potentially being a dream and inside of Ted's head, which then made me feel the opposite, so I thought it would be worth delving into the theory and discussing if the final sequence was real or not. So let's get into it. Was the Ted Lasso final sequence a dream? Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Let's start by looking at the theory. So during the final episode of the show, we saw that as Ted was leaving to go back to the States, he was sitting in his seat on the plane and was getting in the mindset of going home due to the plane being ready to take off. Once Coach Beard caused his scene to be able to get off of the flight so he could stay in the UK and be with Jane, we saw something interesting happen. Ted opened up his gift that he got from Keeley as a leaving present, which was the snow globe, and we saw that he shook it, and as he did that, a light shone down the side of his chair and also down the side of his face. From there, we then cut to the montage of everybody in the show having their moment where we saw that each and every one of them got the happy ending that they deserved, and it showed a positive end for them all round. Trent released the book originally called The Lasso Way and changed the title to The Richmond Way, with it ultimately going on to have massive success. Keeley's company was back on its feet and thriving again. Roy was appointed as head coach of AFC Richmond, and he was also taking a look inwards and starting to work on the internal issues that he had. Jamie was back in contact with his father. Sam Obisanya was now in the Nigerian national team, which was a dream of his. Coach Beard got married to Jane and she was also pregnant, and Nate was fully back in the club, most likely as some kind of coach, and was expressing his apologies, so it rounded off in the perfect way. However, it was then once the montage stopped that we saw that Ted woke up on the plane as he had been asleep. This got a lot of people questioning and thinking, was everything that we just watched from the moment that he shook the snow globe a dream, as we didn't see him doing anything at all after that? It would have also provided an answer and cleared up some questions that were there for certain aspects of what we saw in the montage. For example, the fact that Coach Beard's wedding was at the strange location, and also the fact that Ted wasn't his best man, but Roy was. Things that almost went against the relationships that we saw being formed in the show, and the strength that was there between certain characters. But there is a definitive answer to this. The real-life Coach Beard and co-creator of the show, Brendan Hunt, answered the question, and he said that what we saw was not actually a dream sequence, it was very much real life. And he also went on to answer some of the questions surrounding the lack of Ted in them. The answers. Brendan Hunt gave a simple answer, and it was real, when it came to answering if it was a dream, and he didn't delve into a further explanation, so it must have just been the way in which that they decided for the sequence to play out. When it came to the question around why Ted wasn't at Coach Beard's wedding, there were a couple of different responses. One was because it would have disrupted the narrative and the direction in which the show was heading during its final moments, in the sense that we saw Ted on a plane, not yet arrived in the States, but if he were to be at the wedding, we would have seen him back in the UK, and then he would have woken up again on the plane, which would have landed in the States. So that would have most definitely have felt very jarring and slightly off, and the consistency wouldn't have been there. So it could have actually impacted the weight and gravitas of the ending of Ted looking down the camera. And also, another reason was because it highlighted the type of friendship that they both had with one another, in the sense that they're extremely good friends, the best of friends. But like all good friends, and often the closest, there might be pockets and windows of time where one doesn't see the other for an elongated period of time. But it doesn't hinder the relationship or diminish the quality at all. Coach Beard may have known that Ted had other things going on, and with him being settled back in the USA, he may have told him not to worry. However, he did go on to mention that there will most likely be another time where the pair of them would be back together, and spending a lot of time with one another, which I think is a nice way to look at it. It mirrors life and provides clarity on that big unanswered question that was left overhanging as the season drew to a close. I'm glad that the final sequence was something that did exist in the world of Ted Lasso and was real for all of the characters. There was an ounce of me that thought that it could have been a dream when I heard the theory, just purely by the way that the scene unfolded, but it's good that Brendan Hunt confirmed the truth behind what it meant. and there was no ambiguity surrounding it. It would have been slightly out of character for the show to pull something off like that, so at least we got the ending that we thought the characters deserved. Other interesting answers. There were a couple of other answers that were given by Hunt in the thread which confirmed certain things with other characters. For example, Sam Obisanya being called up to the Nigerian national team. It was something that he always dreamed of doing, but Edwin Akufu always managed to prevent it. So why was he all of a sudden able to join? Well, Brendan Hunt went on to say that it was essentially due to national outcry, and it was a collective voice from the public that could just no longer be ignored or pushed to the side. Sam was playing extremely well. AFC Richmond came second in the league, just behind Man City, and they were going to be playing in the Champions League next season. It provides a believable edge to the reason that he did get called up. There was also an answer that he gave around the fate of Keely and her relationship with either Roy or Jamie. He essentially said that it was left ambiguous because 1. Roy has to do a lot of work on himself before he's most likely ever going to be back with her, which is what we saw him doing at the end when he was meeting with Dr. Sharon. And also, even though there was a love triangle that was present, there didn't have to be an answer. It's not a story where the guy gets the girl. If Keely didn't want any of them, that was fine, because that was also an option on the table too. It was Roy, Jamie, or none of them, something which I thought was a cool way to see explained. It's definitely an interesting thread to read through, and it might actually have some answers to many theories that you also have. So I'd suggest going over to it and having a read through, as it's just as entertaining as it is interesting. But to answer the main question that's the title of the video, was the Ted Lasso final scene a dream? No, it wasn't a dream, it was real. And I think that makes the ending even better, and it allows me to retain the feeling that I had when I originally watched the finale. I've covered the entirety of Season 3 of Ted Lasso over on the channel, so if you want to see episode by episode breakdowns and re-immerse yourself back into the world of AFC Richmond, then there's a playlist that has them all. So, there you have it. Was the Ted Lasso final scene a dream? If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. Did you think it was a dream? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.